loves you. Truly, the real you loves you. Truly, the real you loves you. Truly, the real you loves you. Truly.
All right. Truly, the real you loves you because the real you is
Love.
love.
All right.
All right.
That was a little longer than 2 minutes.
Yes, a little longer than 2 minutes, but we think we fixed the problem. So we'll wait for some of our regulars to come back on. And we do apologize for that. But anytime you're doing live broadcasting, you run into challenges and you just have to know how to and when to pivot. So, how are you doing, dear?
I'm wonderful, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And
Okay.
so we'll see. Naomi's
There's
back.
Naomi. Hello,
Yes.
Naomi. She's back
Okay,
on.
Naomi, give us a thumbs up if we're sounding good and if we're looking good.
So let's see. And then we're gonna wait for a few other folks to get on. Some folks. Let me get back over here so I can see too. All right, let's see.
Okay, Naomi, are you there? Much better, says Diane Harris. Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much for coming back.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so
Baby, come
much.
back.
Oh, we can't do that.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Yes, great.
Thank you,
guys so
Naomi.
much. Yeah, that was a little more involved. He just went ahead and rebooted everything.
Naomi say, wash hands. All right, we'll wait a few more minutes to some of our regulars come back in the house here. Hopefully they do. And
we appreciate you all letting us know so that we could make the adjustments.
yeah. Well, one thing you'll learn when you're doing live telecast, broadcast, streaming is that you have to know how to pivot. You can't panic, right?
Can't panic.
Can't panic.
Does you no good.
Yes. So thank you. And let's
Diane,
see.
I'm so glad that you're on tonight, girl. Kate, I didn't get to connect with you this past weekend, but it was full.
Yes, full
Really full.
schedule.
Yeah.
Next time, Diane and Naomi.
Yes, yes.
She lives in Charlotte.
No, I did not know that. Oh, hope we're not putting her on blast.
Yes.
Okay. Well, at any rate. How are you, Oliver?
I'm doing wonderful.
Oh, good.
It's been a tremendous day.
Yes, it has.
We've been in the house all day
long,
preparing
people.
for tonight in so many different
In
ways.
so many ways.
Yes. Doesn't Yolanda look lovely tonight? Doesn't she look refreshed?
He let me sleep in, y'all.
I let her sleep in
He let
today.
me sleep in so late.
She said, "You're gonna let me sleep all day?" I said, "Hey, you're your ultimate authority."
Diane said, "So good, wow,
So
yes, sir. You all
good.
are so precious. That's why I love them so dearly."
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. So let's start over and say who we are really quickly here.
Yeah. Well,
If
this is your first time joining in with us tonight,
I'll put this one
what
up.
did she say?
Naomi said, "Yolanda always looks wonderful. Thank you, girl. Y'all know how to make a girl feel good."
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Diane said, "Yes."
Yes. So if this
I
is your
love it.
first time viewing us, we are the OK Blues. My name is Oliver, and this
I'm
is,
Yolanda.
and we are certified coaches, and we are all about transformation,
Yes.
teaching transformation to a global community, a virtual global community. And so this show is called Truly Live, and this show is on its second season, its third episode. And we are solely dedicated to the sharing, again, of transformational tools, universal principles, timeless content, and what we call community access. with others who are committed to experiencing a deeper and more meaningful life
Yes.
and have a strong desire for personal growth and for different results. And so if you're looking for personal growth and looking to expand on the results that you are experiencing in life, you have landed in the right space.
Yes.
You have landed in the right space. We also share decades of our own personal experience from our 32-year journey as husband and wife, friends, lovers, roommates, parents, grandparents. What else, baby?
Everything.
Everything.
Sweetie.
We've done it
Everything.
all. We've done it all together for 32
I'm
years.
his ride and live girl.
Ride and live.
Yes, I am.
We basically have uh, accomplished everything together. She's been a huge support to me as I spent 32 of those, well, actually 30 and a half of those years on a corporate career. And she was at home supporting me and being the
For the majority of that time.
majority of that time, being a wonderful home builder, mother, disciplinarian,
Teacher. Homeschooled for quite
yes,
a few years.
homeschooled our kids for several years before they all got expelled.
They did not get expelled. They were promoted.
They were promoted, and so we let them have we invited them to have a different experience, and so they
Yes.
finished their schooling in public school. So they actually had homeschooling. They had
I did it. I did their preschool.
Right.
I did some homeschooling.
there were years of private school,
Yeah.
and then they all finished their educational experience in public school, and then they all went on to universities and
And
they all
from
graduated from
college. Yes,
universities, and
yes.
now they're all out of the house.
And they graduated from the universities without any debt. That is
Yes.
what's so phenomenal. So Oliver has been a tremendous provider for our family.
Well, you know, that was one of our greatest accomplishments,
Yes.
and they really appreciate that.
Yes.
Oh, finally made it back. Oh, well, Sheila,
Yay, thank you, Sheila. So
you didn't
glad
miss
you're back.
you didn't miss a whole lot, but you missed some good things.
No, you didn't.
But thank you for coming back, Sheila, and we just hope you had a blessed week. And tonight we're going to be really starting a new series, so we're glad you're here. We'll be spending the next 3 weeks on a particular subject.
Are we going to talk about gratitude briefly?
We can talk about gratitude, but we all also want to end by saying that we are a dance-loving couple, and we are fun-loving. We like to have a lot of fun,
Yes.
and
We
that
want people to know that their life has deep meaning and good purpose.
yes,
And our passion is to help those who remain outside, unknowing, unawakened, and in need of a witness to the truth that is true always.
all right,
So we love to share a powerful message with these powerful people.
yes.
Yes, Bob and Carol are back.
Bob and Carol is
Yay.
back. Dr. Jill is back. Yeah,
Yay.
everybody's back.
Yay.
And while y'all was gone, and when we first got on, and nobody was here, I said, patrons come back. You can blame it all on me.
He was wrong.
I was wrong,
I don't even know if that's what the words. And I just can't live.
and I just can't live without you. Patrons come back, and y'all are back, and we're happy that you're back.
Okay. We had a fun day, guys.
Yes, we've had a fun day. We've had a fun week. Life is good,
Life is
and
good.
we've
had a busy week.
we had a busy week, and we're just so appreciative. We're grateful. Now we can go into our gratitude segment. We're so happy and grateful.
That was for your patrons come back.
Yes, we're so happy and grateful
All right.
that we get this opportunity to be with you, in community with you,
Yes.
and that you have chosen to be in community with us, and
Yes.
that's we don't take for granted, but we're so grateful for that.
Yes.
And
We appreciate you all.
so if you guys out there would like to share something that you're happy for, grateful about, just put it in the chat if you like to share.
Well, I'm happy and grateful that we got to spend some time with our two sons and our grandson, and then
Our
a
extended family.
score of
Yeah.
Blue family members. So
Yes.
that was wonderful and lovely.
Yes, we experienced family reunion last weekend for the first time in 2 years.
Mhm.
And boy, they come out of the woodworks. I think it was over 200 people attended, and we had a great
Lots
time
of
of fellowship and
outdoor
fun. A
activities,
lot of
and the weather
outdoors.
was
Perfect.
a little less heated.
Yep.
So it was nice. It was very nice.
Absolutely.
Are we doing shout outs right quick?
Yeah, we do shout out
So we always want to shout out to our patrons who we appreciate, and these are our partners, and we appreciate you guys dearly. I'm gonna do a shout out to my two cousins. I have two cousins that have a birthday today, so happy birthday to Renee and happy birthday to Eric.
Okay, happy birthday,
Yes.
Renee and Eric.
And so
And
we'll say happy birthday to anyone else who has a birthday this week. So happy birthday to you. Happy anniversary.
yes,
Happy retirement.
yes,
Happy whatever you're celebrating, we are celebrating you.
yes. And Dr. Jill says,
Happy and grateful for all life teaches us. All right. Naomi's got one too. Diane says grateful to be present. Outstanding. Naomi says, I'm grateful for being able to wake up another day. Yes. All right. We appreciate you guys sharing those. Outstanding. All right, Oliver.
all right. And
Stay over there in your lane.
stay over there. Okay, Mama, we got you. So before we get into the life lesson tonight, I would like to share that. There you go. I would like to share that we have gotten all the registration processing done, and anyone now who has an interest of registering and attending our upcoming vision workshop, which is scheduled for September the 10th. September the 10th. Yes, we're going to be having our vision workshop where this will be live and interactive. We will be in a Zoom environment, so that means we get to see you all in all your expressions. We get to, really feel your presence, and that workshop again will be very interactive. So the registration links have gone out to all of our patrons. It's in Patreon, in your patron platform, as well as you can also go on our website and register. Right on our home page, you will see this marketing piece, and you can go to our website and just click on this piece right here, and it will take you to a registration page.
There is no cost for this workshop.
There is no cost to you for this workshop. However, registration is required. You must register in order to attend. And you don't want to, well, this is your invitation to what we're going to be sharing is all new content. We have created completely new content for this workshop. And so it is very well thought out with your growth and your expansion in mind. And so please, if you can clear your schedule for that 2-hour workshop, it starts at 11 a.m. and we'll finish up by 1 p.m. on that Saturday. Do you have anything to add to that, sweetie?
No, darling.
Okay. So we'll continue to market this, and thank you for those who will register. All right. Let me remove that. Now we all
Yes,
back.
sir.
And Yolanda has posted the information in our chat. And again, if you're a patron, you can go to Patreon, your Patreon site, and you will see where I posted um, an announcement there along with the direct link for registration. And again, you can also go to our website.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right.
All right. So, how about a little inspiration?
Let's do that.
Tonight's inspiration is coming from one of the most notable beings that ever graced this planet. I would say so.
You just did.
I know. And so, Yolanda, do you want to share
Sure.
the encouragement and inspirational quote for tonight?
Yes. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. This quote is from Nelson Mandela.
Yes, Nelson Mandela. And
To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others.
enhances the freedom of others. And so the central theme in this quote, and we thank our brother for these inspiring words, but the central theme in this quote is freedom.
It's freedom, and that's what we're going to be talking
And
about.
that's what we're going to be having conversation and some deep introspection and insight on night. And for sure, we know that this conversation is going to run into our next episode and possibly a third episode, because there is so much here that we can share on the subject of freedom, which is such a broad term, right?
Yes.
You know, freedom, the word freedom is such a broad term. And so living a life of freedom at every level, is that possible? I guess is the question.
Yes.
Is it possible to live life, to live life experiencing freedom at every level? And we would say the answer would be what?
Yes.
It's
A resounding
a resounding yes. So that's kind of a rhetorical question. And the reason we say living life at every level is because that in our human experience, we experience life at multiple levels. And so we want to address how would it feel, what would it feel like to have freedom at every level in our life? And so we're going to get into that and lay the groundwork for that tonight. We may not get far into the conversation tonight, but we invite you to share in the chats any thoughts or ideas that you have on the subject. So I want to start out by, we always like to go to our friend Merriam Webster when we are entering into a subject matter. And so we go to the Webster dictionary. Merriam Webster defines freedom as the quality or the state of being free. Freedom is being free, the state or quality of being free. So to get a little more to the root word of free, the root word of freedom, which is free, we also asked Merriam-Webster to define free for us. And the response came back in this statement. Merriam said to be free is free is not determined by anything beyond its own nature or being. Not determined by anything beyond its own nature or its own being. Choosing or capable of choosing for itself. So I think that's a very broad but a very good definition for us to start with. We can start there. And so when we talk about freedom, And as Miriam said here, it is all about being free to one's own nature, right?
Yes.
Being free to one's own true identity is what she's saying here, not being determined by anything else other than the nature. He, oh, Miriam is a he. Okay, she just reminded me that Miriam is a he. I apologize, Miriam.
You need to stop.
But to be free is to be not to be determined by anything else other than your true nature or your true being.
Yes.
And being able to choose that for yourself without any outside interference.
Yes.
Is the way he defines free. And so for the next episodes of Truly Live, we're going to take a deep exploration into the subject of freedom at key levels of the human experience, with the goal of expanding our awareness of what real freedom is.
Yes.
So our main goal here is for all of us to expand our awareness of what real freedom is. And secondly, we want to be empowered to take bold steps in applying and in experiencing the freedom that is always present.
Okay.
Those are our two takeaways from this series on freedom and freedom at every level. Expanding our awareness, expanding our understanding. We made a statement last week. I think you really was impacted by that statement that I made last week. May not have been on the broadcast, but when I made the statement that where there's no understanding, there is what?
Confusion.
There is confusion.
Yes.
Where there is no understanding, there is confusion. One of the great wisdom books made a statement that in all you're getting,
Get understanding.
get understanding.
Yes.
And when the word understanding is used, it's talking about a different perspective or a different point of view than what one may be holding.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, the point of view that any real serious person would actually want to have is that point of view that comes from the one that is responsible for all of life. We call creator, or we call source, or in some term we call God, or whatever that represents the supreme originator, the supreme person responsible for the ultimate in life, whatever, however you define that. And so taking, expanding our awareness, and then taking that expanded awareness and making bold steps and applying the freedom that we will learn here in our own life.
I looked up the reference that you just made.
That is always present. Which reference?
It's the scripture is wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and in all thy getting, get understanding. That's
Yes.
in Proverbs 4, chapter 4, verse 7.
Proverbs 4:7.
Yes.
Wisdom is the principal thing.
From the from the King James Bible.
Principle is the wisdom is the principal thing,
thing.
which basically means wisdom is basically the correct or accurate use of accurate knowledge.
Yes.
It's the application of accurate knowledge. Is what wisdom is. And it says, in all you're getting, get what? Get an understanding. That's where we stand up under another's point of view, which expands our awareness of what reality is. And in this case, we're saying ultimately for us here, being principle centered, is that we acknowledge what we would call the source of all of life.
Yes.
Or the creator of all life. And so those levels those different levels that we're going to explore in our conversation for the next few weeks would include uh, the levels of life that we experienced, which has to do with our spiritual awareness.
Yes. Our mental, intellectual, mental capacities, our intellectual capacities.
So we're going to be talking about freedom as it relates to our being free in our intellect, free in our mental capacity. We're going to be talking about the level of freedom that can occur in our psychological self, which we call our emotion or our emotional self.
Yes. And our body, with the freedom of our
We're
inner
going to
body.
we're going to get into some conversation about bodily freedom
Mhm.
and what that would look like from a point of view of a what is perfect and what is good. We're going to be talking about relationship. Who doesn't desire freedom in their relationships?
Time and money freedom.
We're going to be talking about time and money freedom. All of us, I'm sure, here desire a grander experience in time and money. I know I do. Do you? You have an interest in time, and more money freedom? Do you?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
absolutely.
Okay,
And finally, we're going to be talking about freedom in the sense of our individual expression, how we show up in the world, our ability to serve humanity, whether how we have the freedom to take our unique giftings and talents, right, and make them bring them to their highest expression in order to enhance life for everyone. When you say that is
Okay.
what we were talking about.
okay.
Okay.
I was noticing that some of these are the areas that we cover in our transformational coaching business. But
Absolutely.
then, of course, there's some other things in here, and I was like, wow, we are handling all of that.
At some point,
Get
the
down.
conversations may go into those areas.
Okay.
So I'm just putting a precursor out there
Okay.
to
precursor.
because basically what we're establishing here is that when we talk about freedom and as we have these conversations, that there is no area that we will not go into if our viewers will have questions in those areas. And we're going to prepare for some of these areas. But I would say that if we go through this conversation, something will come up about freedom in all of these areas. So
Yes.
we're just letting you know that we're open. And we are really open with this series because we have allotted the time to have multiple episodes talking about freedom, and I think it's so timely. I think it's so important right here in this specific juncture where we find ourselves, where you find yourself, where the world finds itself, and so hopefully you guys, it's an interest in the audience. And Naomi says, she made a few statements here.
Freedom is more complicated than being able to do whatever we want. Yes, that's true. And then she says also that the world itself doesn't have freedom to a point. She loves that we're going to be doing different subjects about freedom.
Okay.
Yes, so we're going to actually spend a little bit more time talking about what it is that from the perspective that we're going to be talking about.
Right.
Freedom.
We're definitely going to be coming from a transformational
Yes.
and a spiritual awareness point of view. So it may have somewhat of but you will come to see that it's going to have a very expansive impact on all of us.
Yes.
So sometimes the way to approach knowing something is to know what it's not. And so when we talk about the word freedom, we would have to say that the opposite of freedom would be what? Imprisonment. And that imprisonment can come in so many different forms. We can be imprisoned in our minds. We can be imprisoned in our bodies. We can be imprisoned in our thoughts. We can be imprisoned in our psychological self. Well, across all of the key areas that we talked about. That to not be free is to be in prison, or to be limited, or to be restricted.
To be restricted.
Yes. So, what areas of life do you desire freedom? This is a question for the viewers and for us. So, if we would ask you the question, what areas of life do you desire freedom? What would your response be? If you desire to interact with us, please share with us in the chat what comes to mind in terms of an area that you would love freedom in.
Okay, I'll put that up there. All right. And we'll continue as people make.
But we'll continue. Yes, right. So when we looked up what are the common freedoms that all humanity desire, we came up with a list of freedoms. And I know that this is not a all-encompassing list, but it's the ones that were most noted. And so, common freedoms that we all desire. The number one freedom is the freedom from fear, or the freedom from the unknown. And I can stop right there and say, by my own experience in my own life, in my early adulthood, I would say in my teenage years, in my early adulthood, that would be number one for me. Now, looking back on it in an expanded way, I realize how in prison I was to fear of not necessarily the fear of the unknown, but just I realized that I was imprisoned by a spirit of fear.
Okay.
And it caused all kinds of negative issues in my life. And at the time, not really knowing what was at the root of it. So it was unknown, because I didn't know what was really driving the fear that I was experiencing. And but it showed up in different forms.
Yes.
Secondly, the second common freedom for human desires is to have freedom from suffering. And when we say freedom from suffering, that covers a broad spectrum. So suffering happens in many different forms. But to be free from suffering is one of the most common freedoms that humanity desires. And we see a lot of suffering in our world. And so I can see where that would be at the top of everyone's list. Nobody wants to suffer. And then thirdly, freedom from oppression. Nature of our human spirit is contrary to being oppressed. The human spirit, the nature of the human spirit is freedom. And oppression generally shows up in the form of control. And there's a difference between having a healthy environment where there are guidelines to keep everyone in that environment safe, and guidelines that serve the better interest of a community or a home or organization or anything. That's one thing. But there's another thing for the human spirit to be oppressed.
Yes.
And so the human spirit cries out for freedom from oppression. The fourth area is in the area of scarcity. Freedom from scarcity, or another word would be lack. To be free from lack. Humanity desires to be free from lack. We know the negative ramification of not having basic needs met, right? Or not having even not only the basic needs, but basic desires fulfilled. and not having the freedom uh, for abundance and not having the freedom for plenitude, there's this, again, huge desire to be free from a sense of scarcity or a sense of lack. Next on the list is freedom from inequality.
Mhm. I numbered them.
And as we talk about these common freedoms, inequality is huge for us to have a conversation about.
Mhm.
And okay, you're changing my notes there.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Well, since you decided to number them and you hadn't numbered them on the sheet, I thought it would make it easier for you.
Right,
You know, here I am trying to help.
right. So freedom from inequality.
Yeah.
I mean, the sacred scriptures tells us that we ought to have the mind that is in our creator. Let the mind of our creator be in us, who thought that it was not robbery. It's not robbing anything from the creator for us to have equality with our creator. So if if equality is the cornerstone of true relationship, where there's no equality, there's no real relationship.
Right.
That's on a human level, and also that is on a vertical level. Where there is no equality, then there's a sense of what?
Separation.
There's a sense of separation, and there's a sense of inferiority
Yes.
that comes into play. So it affects our self-esteem when there's any level of sense of inequality, and if we see it happen in our daily lives, we know the awesome, the gruesome negative ramification
Yeah.
where inequality is running rampant. Our sixth area has to do with uh, the common freedom to be free from any type of threat or terror. We live in a nation, we live in an environment now where there are global threats, there are local threats, there's threats everywhere, and we all yearn to be what? To be free from any type of threat, because it's in our nature to reside in peace. And where there's no peace, then there's the the thought of threat or the thought of terror.
Okay.
What's next?
Well, I mean, I numbered them the way that you had them written down there. So I thought that the threats were like bodily, physical harm, mental
That's a
harm.
part
Okay,
of it
that's what
also.
and then you had terror or war.
Yes.
But then you said threats and terror, but that's okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so the next one,
The next one is, you want to do the last one?
the last one is guilt.
The last
and
one is the
that's-
freedom from what?
From guilt.
Yes.
And that's really mainly the freedom from guilt consciousness, from being aware that there is something that you deserve some type of punishment for.
Right. And so these are the just common areas that all of us, most humanity, would love to be free from these areas.
So let us quickly. We have a couple of comments here. Dr. Jill said that she for the question. I'll go back and put this. What areas of life do you desire freedom? And so Dr. Jill responded that she would like to be free from frustration when people do not act in a nice manner. Well, Dr. Jill, you certainly have all the power and authority.
And we're going to get into that.
To do that.
Yes.
Yes. So, but having the awareness of being able to move into that quickly is something I would certainly understand there. And then Naomi said that she wants to have desires to have freedom to speak what she wants and to say and think freely. Thank you guys for sharing those comments. Okay.
Okay. And can we address Dr. Jill's?
Yes, let's do that.
Let's address hers, and then we'll finish. We'll wrap it up for today. So let's address her. Dr. Jill, we're going to address yours, and forgive us here for these. Right here, we're going to address your concern for freedom, by using this quote, Dr. Jill. And this is a quote by Viktor Frankl. You
Mhm.
want to read it, Yolanda?
Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom,
Yes. So, Dr. Jill,
thereby the freedom of other people as well.
thereby the freedom of others as well.
Yeah.
Because if there's not freedom from all, it's not real freedom.
If there's not freedom for all.
And so when there is frustration and or aggravation that we experience because of someone or something outside of ourselves,
Mhm.
this is the solution. This is the right solution to addressing that frustration or
Yes.
that annoyance or that aggravation.
Yeah.
Is for you to realize
or
for us,
even the pain,
or even the pain of it.
and so
Yes.
the pain, and that does not mean that the pain comes from when people don't act in a nice manner towards us. We sometimes experience pain when we see other people
Right.
not being nice,
Not-
not behaving in a way that's nice to other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so here's what we think is a very good solution is to always go within in those moments when you feel even the slightest twinge of annoyance. This is a time, and it is a almost like a trigger for us to not to react to what we see happening to ourselves or others, but to respond. Because in between that stimulus, which creates the twinge, and the response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose how we're going to respond to that situation.
And for me, the key point there is it's our power to choose.
It's our power to choose.
Yeah.
And that's freedom. Because the one freedom that cannot be taken from any of us is our power to choose. And this is one of the subjects that we're going to cover in this series is the power of choice. And so in our response, or in our choice response, because you're going to choose how you respond. He said, in that response lies our growth. Notice now, our growth and our freedom.
Yes.
And so, knowing how to use the practice of pausing when the annoyance comes, or when the aggravation comes, or when the frustration comes, one good discipline is to let that be a reminder to you that that's a reason for you to go within.
Yes.
And remind yourself of how you want to show up in the world. And remind yourself that you are not a reactive being, but you are a responsive being,
Yes.
a responsible or responsive being, meaning that you have the ability to respond in such a way that it's going to be loving and it's going to be effective for all involved. So hopefully, Dr. Jill, that kind of addresses your question, and
Here's another
hopefully,
response. Virginia says, and hello, Virginia. I don't know that we've gotten to speak to you tonight, but Virginia says that she desires freedom from rejection.
yes,
Freedom from rejection.
absolutely. And I would say that this would be a effective response to even Virginia's freedom request, because going within, and we'll get into this really more in depth next week and the following week, but us realizing that we have the power of freedom, it is within us. The power of freedom is not outside of us.
That's
even though we live in an environment, we live in a country, we live in a state, we live in on a continent, in a world where freedom have been conditioned in us is something that is levied or decided for us or legislated for us. But
Yes.
true freedom does not come from without. It comes from within.
Yes.
And that is where we're going to focus on, and the point of view that we're going to be coming from in this series.
Yes. Well, also, you're saying that freedom can't be legislated, but that is the exact same thing for Virginia's response. Acceptance is also something that can't be legislated, or it's another thing that does not come from without. As a matter of fact, of course, in Miracle states that the first step towards freedom involves sorting out the false from the truth.
Yes.
So whenever we line things up with truth, then we could never be rejected when we are
Right.
when
we
line
come
that
from the
up.
point of view of truth,
Yes.
then therein lies our protection. Therein lies our peace.
Yes.
Therein lies our power.
Yeah. So Dr. Jill has shared this, which is so true. She says, "Yes, be more observant of my inner verse."
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
The inner verse.
Because here at Truly Live, we believe that there is a power within you. We know that there's a power within all of us that is greater than anything that is outside of us.
Anything.
Doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter what the form is. There is no order of difficulty in us transcending any challenge that we face.
And as a matter of fact, the quote that you put up by Viktor Frankl, if you're not familiar with his story, he was in a concentration camp during the Holocaust and had seen his mother and father
Killed.
Tortured, starved, killed.
Wife.
His wife was there as well. And his wife had been killed. And so he's now in the state where he's, close to death because they were starving them. And
he was the only one left in his family. Everyone else was killed. And the last act that he saw of torture towards his family was they cut off her finger to get her wedding band. He observed that.
Okay.
Yes, from the story that I read. And so in that state of being in prison and being tortured and watching his family member tortured, he discovered that he could what? In that moment, he discovered in the space, in the pause, that he could choose his response to all of that. And he chose in that moment to transcend all of the atrocities and all of the oppression and all of the torture that was placed upon his family, and made a decision with his own mind that it wasn't going to allow that to destroy his will to live or his desire to get past what was happening in that present moment. And he did. And he ended up living through that and became one of the most profound contributors to the human development community, personal development community. He wrote many books, and this quote came out of one of his writings, but he was an example or proof that regardless of what is happening in the present outside of us, it does not nullify our power to choose.
Yes.
Our response in any given situation.
Yes.
So with that said, we're going to stop right there, but just wanted to kind of lay the groundwork this week, and hopefully we did, for some more in-depth conversations that we're going to have around this subject of freedom. And again, we want to stress the fact that it is our goal, that we come away from this series with an expanded awareness of what real freedom is. And so next week, we're going to get into what Yolanda's talked about here, taking that first step towards freedom.
So that we may live a life, so that we may live more peaceful.
That we may live more peaceable.
Yes.
So this first step towards that is being able to sort out or determine what that which is true versus that which is false, or like we like to say here, that which is real versus that which is unreal. And so join us in the coming weeks as we get more in depth in this. Well, thank you, babe.
Well, all right. Had a few. Thank you guys for working with us as we
Yes.
worked out those technical difficulties that we had. It's unfortunate that we had to log off and log back on, but we needed to just reboot the system.
Needed to reboot the system. Yes.
To give you to have the quality of program that we wanted. So we thank you guys so much for being with us. We don't take it for granted that you're here. We love that you have chosen to stay on your growing edge and that you choose to do that with us.
And we're glad that they came back.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So we bless all of you who join with us and those that you hold near and dear in your heart.
So may you be truly happy.
May you live in peace.
May you live in love.
May you know the power of forgiveness.
And may you live in the recognition that your life has deep meaning and good purpose.
That's from the Dalai Lama. And Oliver and I add, may you live in the awareness of who you truly are. We extend this blessing to every being on the planet. And so it is.
And so it is. And with that said, my name is Oliver.
I'm Yolanda.
And together we are the OK Blues.
Your sweet love away, but you stay right here beside me, never letting me go. Now I know the love I needed was right here all along. I know that love is enough to forgive all the hurt and pain. Love is enough to remove all the guilt and shame. Love is enough to make up for what you made. I know that love is enough. God's love